Veronica had a collection. It wasn't a collection of stamps, coins, or porcelain dolls. Her collection was invisible, stored only in her memory and on a few discrete photos in a password-protected folder on her computer. She collected moments of absolute transformation, the instances when a man was transfigured in her hands. Veronica loved shaving men's hair off with clippers, completely bald. There was nothing sexual about it, at least not in the conventional sense. It was an obsession with aesthetics and process. She was fascinated by the metamorphosis, the destruction of something men often took pride in, their hairstyle, in order to reveal the pure, raw essence beneath. The shape of the skull, the line of the jaw, the expression in the eyes. To her, it was like sculpting, where instead of a chisel, she used a buzzing set of clippers, and because few men would willingly agree to become her canvas, Veronica had become a master of cunning and wagers. She was an expert at reading people, at finding their weakness, be it pride, competitiveness, or the desire to show off, and exploiting it. Her collection already numbered several successful projects: a friend from camp who lost a bet in an air rifle shooting contest, a former classmate who wagered on the outcome of a hockey game, and even a cousin who lost a game of chess. Her latest target was Adam. They knew each other from the climbing gym. Adam had everything Veronica both detested and adored in her material. He had gorgeous, thick, slightly wavy hair that he was constantly running his hands through. It was his pride and joy. But Veronica saw only a mask in it, one that hid an interestingly shaped head and strong features. This project would be a tough nut to crack, but the result would be all the sweeter. The opportunity arose during a weekend trip to a cabin with their whole group of friends. On Saturday evening, around the campfire, when the mood was relaxed and boosted by a few beers, Veronica launched her plan. "Hey, Adam," she began casually, "we all know you're the strongest guy here. But I bet you can't chop more wood than me. In 20 minutes tomorrow morning." The whole group erupted in laughter. Adam proudly straightened up. "You? Against me? What are we betting, Vera?" "Something refreshing for us both," she said with a sly smile. "If I lose, I'll be your slave for the rest of the weekend. I'll clean up this whole mess, do the dishes, fetch the beers. But if you lose..." She paused to build the tension. "You're getting a radical summer haircut. And I'll be your personal barber." Adam laughed. "A summer haircut? You're on. Get ready to scrub those pots, princess." They shook on it, the bet sealed before a dozen witnesses. Adam had no idea just how radical Veronica had in mind. The next morning, Veronica, of course, beat Adam. Not with strength, but with technique and efficiency she had secretly practiced. Adam stood, sweaty and defeated, next to his small pile of wood, while Veronica symbolically dusted off her hands next to her own, visibly larger, pile. "A bet's a bet," the group chanted. "Sit down," Veronica said, pointing to a wooden stump on the sun-drenched terrace. Her voice was calm, but her eyes danced with sparks of excitement. From the cabin, she brought her kit, professional grade wall clippers, a large towel, and a small bottle of oil. When Adam saw the massive clippers, he hesitated for the first time. "You're serious about this, aren't you?" "I never joke about bets," Veronica replied, draping the towel over his shoulders like a cape. Then it began. Veronica ran her fingers through his thick hair one last time, as if saying goodbye to the material she was about to destroy and recreate. She felt its softness and density. Then she switched on the clippers. A deep, resonant buzz cut through the silence of the mountain morning. All their friends fell quiet, watching. Adam visibly tensed and closed his eyes. Veronica placed a hand on his shoulder to steady him, and with the other hand holding the growling clippers, she aimed for the middle of his forehead. The first pass. It was a moment of pure magic. The clippers plunged into the wall of hair and, without the slightest hesitation, created a wide, straight highway of exposed skin running over the top of his head. The first large clump of his wavy hair slid helplessly down the towel and landed on the wooden floor. A murmur went through the group. Adam opened his eyes and watched the devastation in shock. But Veronica didn't let herself be distracted. She was in her element. Pass after pass, with methodical precision, she removed more and more pieces of his pride. The sound of the clippers changed as it went through sections of varying thickness, at times a deeper growl, at others a lighter buzz. She felt the vibrations through her entire arm, relishing the feeling of absolute control. She saw the shape she had predicted being revealed from beneath the layer of hair. The elegant curve of his skull that transitioned to a strong neck. She watched as the pile of hair on the ground grew and as Adam's expression changed from shock to a sort of fascinated resignation. When the rough work was done, she took the clippers and carefully cleaned up the contours around his ears and on his nape. Her movements were gentle and precise. It was detail work, the final touch on her piece. And now for the most important part, she whispered and removed the plastic guard from the clippers. To make it truly smooth, she ran the bare metal blade over his entire head, against the grain. The sound changed to a fine, scratchy hum. Adam flinched slightly. It was the most intense sensation, the final smoothing, the removal of the very last trace of his former self. When the clippers finally fell silent, Veronica poured a few drops of oil into her palm and gently massaged it into his entire scalp. It was a soothing, intimate act of care after the act of destruction. Done, she said, handing him a small mirror. Adam hesitantly looked at himself. His fingers slowly and disbelievingly traveled over the rough smooth surface of his head. He was silent for a long time. Then, a hint of a smile appeared on his face. He looked at Veronica, and there was something new in his eyes. Respect. Wow, he breathed out. I feel lighter. Veronica smiled, filled with a deep satisfaction. Her project was complete. Another masterpiece for the collection. And while the group laughed and patted Adam on his new bald head, Veronica was already discreetly scanning the other men in the group. Her artistic gaze settled on Jake and his unruly blonde curls. A new plan immediately began to form in her mind. The hunt was never truly over.